Need to have a little chat about something. Something that's pretty exciting. It's a pretty big giveaway. 5 videos. 1 video a week for 5 weeks, a $25,000 tournament entry, and a trip to the Bahamas. Enjoy the awkwardness.
Hi and welcome to what will hopefully be the first of many episodes of my poker related vlog, in which I will take you, the viewer, on one of my poker sessions for at least the coming 5 weeks and probably beyond that, to show you the kind of things that can happen in a poker game, and also show you that poker in the Netherlands, which is where I'm from, is not dead yet. Also, Mom, I'm doing just fine. Let me show you. Let's go play a tournament. So the tournament we play in is a €60 freeze-out tournament, which means there's no rebuys or add-ons or re-entries available. And this tournament is hosted in Scheveningen Holland Casino in the Netherlands every Thursday, and it's a very beginner-friendly environment. So if you've always wanted to give poker tournaments a shot, this is probably a very good place to start. So let me give you some analysis on some of the hands that I play in a night, which then you can use to your advantage if you also happen to play in these games. So the first hand of note we get is pocket aces on the under the gun position, and we raise it up to 2.5 times the big blind to 250. As you can see, the blinds are going up very quick here because we are still at starting stack, because for us not much happened yet. Our raise gets called by the player in the cutoff position and the player in the big blind. So we go to the flop with 2 other players with the pot at 800 already. And the flop is a fairly wet one despite there being no flush draw. The flop is Jack 9-7. So I'm already thinking about how much I'm going to bet, but my opponent in the big blind leads out for 220. This is only a quarter of the pot, and we definitely want to raise here both for value and protection of our hand. And we don't want to let the third player in for such a good price. So we look at how big the stack is of the player in the big blind, and he has only about 1500 left. So I choose a sizing that can allow me to go all in on the turn with him, so I raise to 600. The player behind me now asks how much I got left, and when he sees it's only less than 2000, he proceeds to go all in, covering both me and the big blind. And now we are in a difficult spot. The big blind folds, and it's on us to decide whether our aces are good. This player doesn't bluff a lot, however I've seen him slow play high pairs pre-flop very frequently, like kings or queens. So the possible hands he could be going all in here with for value are sets like sevens, nines and jacks. He rarely has 2 pairs since I raised from under the gun and he's fairly tight. And then there's also the possibility of him having kings or queens. I don't think that he would do this with just a naked jack, since he went all in so quickly. In the end, I decide to call, and we can always draw out on him if he has a better hand. Which he does. He shows us pocket sevens. The turn is a 3 and the river is a deuce, and we do not improve and we lose the tournament. Let's see if the cash game is any good for us. Just a few orbits into the cash game, we already find pocket queens in middle position with the blinds at 2-2 and the player under the gun raises to 10, Player next to him calls, and we have a strong hand, so we like to raise. And we choose a size of 38, and the player next to us makes the quickest call to a 3-bet I have ever seen. He comes off a little tilted too. However, this is a good player, and I put him on a range of like 8s through jacks and then maybe ace queen, which is usually what this 3-bet cold call range looks like. The other players think about it for a while but do decide to fold. The two of us go to a flop, which is deuce 3-8 with 2 diamonds. And with the pot being 100 already, it seems like a reasonable sizing to bet all my chips here, which is what I do. And which is what I also would do with some hands that miss the board, like ace king or ace queen, and all my flush draws. Our opponent thinks about it for a full minute and then decides to call, so we know that we are probably up against a smaller pocket pair. The turn is a king, the river is another 8, and we show our hand and it's good. So we take down that pot of over 300 euros. We end up playing for about a total of 2 hours until everyone decides to leave, which makes us unable to continue playing since it was the only table playing. So we make our way to the cash desk and also cash out. When we go back to see how the tournament players are doing, we find ourselves looking at 2 new players who still want to play. And I like me some short-handed action, so I join in. And we end up playing for 2 more hours, 3-handed. And one of the players did literally not fold a hand pre-flop for 2 hours straight. And this of course made for some very interesting situations which I could go on and on about, but I will just tell you one of the most interesting hands that happened. For this hand, even a 4th player joined in, and he is on the button right now and limps. We are in a small one with Jack 10 offsuit, and we raise to 18. The player in the straddle, who is the player which I mentioned that does not fold, he calls, and the other player folds. So we go heads up to a flop of Jack 10-8 with 2 clubs. We do have the Jack of clubs. We bet 24. The opponent decides to call. And the river is the deuce of clubs, which does put out the flush. But when I see my opponent checking whether he does have a club, I'm not really concerned of him having a flush. So I continue betting for 50. He quickly calls. And the river is the queen of clubs, which now gives us a flush. But one that I would normally not look to value bet. So I check, which in hindsight versus this particular player could be a clear value bet, since he may even call us with a straight or 2 pair. But I do decide to check. My opponent quickly bets 50. Well, so I call. Can't really go anywhere with my flush. So he ends up showing us queen deuce for 2 pair, which he said he thought he was value betting since I checked and he didn't think I would check a flush. In the end, we cash out for a profit of a little over 500, and that is including the loss of the tournament. So immediately we get hit by some of that vlog run good I've been hearing about. This was it for now. I hope to see you next time, where I'll be playing in the same tournament with better results.